We're founders, we have great visions, we know what products we want to build. We're not security and compliance experts, let's be real about it. If you show up like every other startup, you're going to get treated like every other startup. It's going to be long cycles, it's going to be really hard, and most importantly, security and compliance is going to block you. My name is Aly Dhalla, CEO and co-founder of Finaeo. Finaeo is a platform for the insurance industry, connecting insurance companies, brokers, and customers to achieve prospect to policy goals. So insurance agents help to sell policies using our platform, insurance companies place products on it, and our system helps facilitate the process. Vision is to become Amazon for insurance. One of the hardest problems in the insurance space is that you have to work through really deep compliance and regulatory frameworks. So each insurance company that you go to work with, you have to go through procurement. And as an early stage technology company, security and privacy are at the cornerstone of the industry. So going through that when you don't have a chief information security officer on your bench is very, very difficult. So what you typically do is you get your CTO or your VP engineering to go and fill that out, but they're not an expert in security and compliance. When we started working with ScalePoynt, we were able to show up prepared, ready to go, and deliver a very high quality of trust because of the process that ScalePoynt laid out for us. Steve spent a lot of time with me understanding exactly what I was trying to achieve, both from a vision perspective, but then tactically. What is the technology? What does it have to do? How is it going to work? What are the product experiences going to look like? And then we were able to zoom out from the technology component to think about strategy, go-to-market planning, and then of course he identified that security and compliance was going to be a key bottleneck in our success. So I think the first stage that Steve really put us through his discovery process was very deep. We were probably one of the first companies to be able to pass through the security checks without even formally going through the RFP because our documentation was so strong from the start. So because we could front load things like security and compliance, when it got to those like checkpoints, we were already through those gates. Versus, if we had to cold start some of those conversations at, call it month 3 of an engagement, it would have doubled our time to market in some cases. In other cases, not having that documentation and that process in place would have killed deals altogether. So without working with ScalePoynt, I don't even think we could have achieved many of our goals. Steve came as a highly trusted security and architectural expert, but most importantly was somebody who could toe the line between technology, operations, and go-to-market planning. And working as a small company, you really need to bring Swiss Army knives around you. Steve is definitely one of those people, but he's also just a great human being. So being around his energy, his vibe, was really easy to get along, and he just became a really trusted partner and a really good friend. What we were able to do is actually pre-craft documentation and give it and deliver it as part of our first meeting and say, hey, here's all of our tech stuff, here's all of our product stuff, and by the way, here's our entire security package. So instead of them controlling the process, we were able to control the process. So it sped up obviously our cycle time and our process, but most importantly, it just laid us on as a mature, ready to go company versus a small little startup that doesn't know how to engage with an enterprise. On top of just being able to deliver documentation, I could actually point to the fact that I have a chief information and security officer on my bench, and I could be very thorough with them on the processes that we run internally. So here's our documentation, here's our security working group that meets monthly, here's our penetration test process, and I could then call on demand my CISO and say, hey, you want to talk to Steve? Here he is. And as you know, Steve is a person that you can put in any room in the world, basically, and you're going to be fine. So that is like a superpower as an early stage company to have on your roster. I think the natural instinct for most people is just keep everything in-house, right? But because it came through a trusted resource, we had worked together on a project in the past, we had trust built up. So that was the easy part. But for a lot of people, I think that's the biggest leap that you have to take. But the best thing to do is just to take the trusted recommendation of people who have gone through that process and that can show you the success that they've seen by working with a particular third-party partner. As a startup founder, you're dealing with a myriad of challenges every day. And a lot of it is unknown unknowns, which are the hardest to deal with. So things that you don't know you're going to come across that you've never gone through before. And sometimes when you don't have someone on your bench or on your team that you can commiserate with, it's a very scary, lonely place. And so having call it a friend like Steve, forget about a professional relationship, but a friend like Steve who is a little arm's length from the company, but someone that you could talk to deeply about the problems that you have are things that maybe you couldn't even talk to your team about. Maybe you can't even talk to your partner at home about. Just somebody who can be there to support you through. That was really, really helpful. We're actually just going through our exit. So now it's about handing these processes off to another organization where hopefully they can continue to work with Steve and ScalePoynt. But what I've found now is a partner for life, somebody that I'm always going to be able to tap on no matter what company I'm running. I've got an expert in my roster that I can always call on. We're founders, we have great visions, we know what products we want to build. We're not security and compliance experts, let's be real about it. So add to your bench. And the thing is at an early stage, this isn't a role that you can afford to hire. You just can't. So bring it fractionally, make it a core competency of the business, but in the meantime, you're going to have that level of credibility right away. ScalePoynt brought a level of maturity to our organization around security and compliance that made us look and seem a lot more mature than we were at the stage that we were. And the ability to walk into a room at an enterprise grade level with that type of documentation, those type of processes, and that type of professional puts you in a category that's completely different than a normal startup. If you show up like every other startup, you're going to get treated like every other startup. It's going to be long cycles, it's going to be really hard, and most importantly, security and compliance is going to block you. The best thing you can do is front load all of that, take control of the process, and be a real professional by having a real professional on your team.